let's get into our webinar.
All righty, sounds good. What are we talking about, Ralph? We're talking about setting goals. And there's two things we want to do. And I said it when I invited everyone, there's a point at the end of the year where you kind of gotta look back. You gotta look and see, hey, am I where I want to be? Where do I want to go? Do I need to adjust my trajectory or my course? And then at the same time, we've kind of taken a look back. We also want to look forward and we want to kind of know what's the framework for being able to set goals and where in what parts of our life do we set goals, and we're going to talk about that today. So let's kick it off, Ralph, with the very first step, and that's the first thing that we talked about, and that's this right here: taking a look back. Look, going over and seeing what did we do in the past. Is that something you've done before?
Yeah. It's funny. Every year I kind of go through the same. I don't know if it's like a mental process or it's such habit now that the end of the year, the beginning of the new year, I try to reflect back and look at the things that occurred. I'm guilty probably of sometimes thinking of or looking at the things that I didn't accomplish, and that seems to
Yeah.
be easier for me because I'm just always trying to look ahead and I want to do better at everything I do. But we have to look at the things that we accomplished. And I think too many times, I did this exercise the other day, and what I did is I just scrolled through my phone and I forgot all these. I'm like, oh my God, I did that and I did that and I did that. And so it was like, I seem to forget all the great things that we do. So we do have to take a look back. To me, I'm looking to get rid of or move on to the next part of the things that maybe I didn't like or want to improve. And then, but I look at the things that I did accomplish because quite often, the achievers in this world are looking at things that they didn't accomplish versus the things that they did accomplish. So that's kind of what I did this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of goes into, what went well this past year. What were the things that were really good? And I always say, let's celebrate those. Let's make a list of them. Let's say, hey, man, these are great. These are really good accomplishments. At the same time, what didn't go well, you know?
Yeah.
And we want to let go of those things, but we want to visit them just long enough to kind of learn from them. So when I say let go, let go doesn't mean forget. Let go thinks that means remember long enough to go, hey, what did I learn from that?
Well,
So
move on
that really
mentally.
is one of those things where you just have to assess, and that's what we call that: assess your wins and your challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, Chance. What's the
And then,
next thing? Because I would say the same thing. It's just,
yeah,
it's like Barbara Corcoran said that in her book, she talked about how long it takes you to get over something is an important mechanism in your head. It doesn't mean you want to forget sometimes, but sometimes you do want to move on from them because it doesn't help you to stay there. So
yeah,
identify the lessons learned from the year. And part of this, Chance, takes time. So part of the reason why I scheduled this today is hopefully because all the people on this webinar is taking time out of their day to do it, which I know they are. But then we need to set aside a little bit of a time for ourselves to actually work on what we're going to talk about today.
right.
It's usually a reflection time. It's 2-3 hours. It's a cup of coffee. What a perfect day, a snow day here in Texas, but also probably Oklahoma City and wherever else people are joining us. So identify those lessons learned.
Yep, for sure, absolutely. And then from there, I mean, it really, we're talking about, what did you learn from those experiences, positive and negative, and use those insights to be able to create, what are the goals that we want to look at? Now, I've learned this from the past. Now, where do we want to go from here? So that really is the next thing. And I'm sorry, my computer keeps, and that's, and we kind of talked a little bit earlier, Ralph, about some of the challenges that we had this year, whether it's things with interest rates. I know that's always been on high on everybody's radar. Definitely the election,
Yeah.
you know, that kept a lot of people from moving forward on a home purchase.
Yeah, I would say last year, I'm going to be honest, I think last year was probably one of the most challenging years since like the 2008, 2009. I know we probably don't see light, but I do feel it doesn't mean it wasn't a good year, maybe financially for some of us or business wise, but I definitely think that last year was full of more challenges that kept people maybe from moving forward quicker than they would. Like you said on the screen, the interest rate were at a high level, so that lock-in effect was kind of taking place. We had the presidential election and all the politics that kept everybody on the fence because they weren't sure. The uncertainty in the marketplace, I think in general, was at a pretty high level for most of us around the country, and so yeah, we as a as an industry in the new home sales business, we had to focus back on how do we maximize value? How do we create urgency in a market that doesn't show a lot of urgency naturally? And then, we got to get back to some of those things. So I was going to say the things we taught last year we're prospecting, we're overcoming objections, we're creating urgency, we're negotiating, closing. It seemed right back to, quite honestly, a normal market, but it was tough, right? And we've been
Right.
used to some good markets probably for the last, well, since COVID. It's been a pretty strong market. Different challenges. I mean, I could say if we looked at 2 or 3 years, we'd say the challenges might be supply chain and length of time to build and not any build jobs people had to pick. So every year has different challenges for sure. And I know you talked a lot when you were training this year about having that franchise player mentality of treating your store like it's your own business, right? So
For sure. And I think that a lot of the challenges that we list here, the good thing is, I mean, one of them's gone away, and that's this one right here. Even though we still do periodically have politics that come into it, but I think a lot of people, like you said earlier, they really stopped because, or kind of pushed pause because of the election. And the good thing is that kind of went away, but we still have a lot of these challenges, and just like you said, Ralph, we're training on a lot of these
yeah.
continually, and so some of the
Here's a
challenges.
question I want to ask Chat, not a chance
Yeah.
in the chat for those on there. Here's what I've heard and seen in the last 2 to 3 weeks. And so I'd like to get feedback from the group that's on here, their boots on the ground. It feels like in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we've seen a better buyer base, a more positive mindset. The buyers seemed real. If you're on this, say, what are your guys' thoughts? Have you seen an uptick to me in real buyers out there? Because I feel like the mentality has been different and I do see an uptick. So if you can chat in there, that's what I'm feeling. I think it's going to be a good year. We're going to have to work hard, but man, the mentality of people coming in the door, they just seem more real. So I'd love to see some, responses from our group that's out there. Okay, good. So you've seen it right after the election.
Right.
Jacoby agrees that's up in there. Okay, good.
Amanda says
Yeah.
agrees. So
Well, I like it. Cheryl Dunson said, not yet, but hopeful. Yeah, well, we're hopefully optimistic too. There's some pockets that maybe one applying yesterday. See? Okay, good. Yeah, I feel like, we're connected to enough teams that it feels like, I don't know that it's been like a rush of traffic, but definitely the traffic has been, I think the mindset of the traffic coming in has been buyers. Yeah, the quality and a little more quantity too. So yeah, I've
yeah,
seen an uptick, so I'm excited about what's ahead. What I don't want us to take us off is working hard because we see a little bit of a rush. And so anyway, let's go. Let's go to the next slide. I like it. Look at much better quality. We're seeing a lot of that across, which is really positive news for us. So like Chance said, one of the things that we're here to do today is really kind of give framework and some of the rules that we see. It doesn't mean they're always right, and you might have different ways of doing it, but we kind of created some rules for goal setting. And so, Chance, what are some of the rules that we
yeah. I'll
we
throw them
believe in?
all up there real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, number one, when we're creating our rules, we want to be specific. I know a lot of times we can kind of go, oh, this is the direction I want to go, and we get real vague with those. But when we're setting our goals, we really need to know exactly what is it that we're aiming for. And what creates that success? What is going to be the definition of success for something like that?
Yep. So
And then,
specific.
yeah,
Okay.
and be trackable. And other, we want to be able to measure it, and say, hey, what is going to be our definition of success? So measure for progress. Are you there? It gives you an idea. Are you there yet?
Well, it's
Like my
funny.
kids,
I've
or are you
changed.
falling short?
Yeah, it's interesting is I've had two different philosophies in my lifetime. I think at the beginning, it doesn't mean one was right or wrong. I think they've become more focused since I had the mentality. My mentality was do as much as possible. but as much as possible wasn't measurable, right? So my attitude was right. I just had
Yeah.
no way of to tracking it, right? And so I think there was a shift in my mindset probably about 15 years ago. And it was like everything has to be measured. Maybe it was 20, but it had to be trackable, right? I had to put specific things down instead of, hey, I want to go on some great trips this year. Or I want to make more money this year. It wasn't enough. The attitude was right. I can't say that the attitude wasn't right, and I would say my energy level was right, but I didn't have anything to measure whether I was doing good or not. So I felt like kind of like Zig Ziglar would say, like a wandering generality versus
Right.
a
Where you're
meaningful
not, where you don't
specific.
really have that specific of a goal and you're not really any way to measure it, you
Yeah,
know? So yeah, for sure. That's a danger. And that is, making really general ideas and things. So, but another one is achievable. We wrote on here, no wimpy goals, but at the same time, it doesn't do any good to set a goal if it's not achievable. So we want to make sure it's a realistic goal, something that we can really get to. And Ralph, while we're talking about these, we'll get at the end of here, but I think that one thing you and I were talking about the other day is sometimes these goals are 1 year goals, sometimes they're 3 year goals, and sometimes they're 5 year goals.
yeah.
So you just kind of have to decide if it's achievable, but when is it achievable as well?
Well, and that's the thing is, it goes back to what we're going to do is fill in some different quadrants. But yeah, 1, 3, 5, 10, whatever. It doesn't mean whatever's in your brain you shouldn't put down there because you can't achieve it in a year. Some goals are bigger than a year worth, right? Some goals are accumulative over time. And I mean,
Right.
I'll tell you one right now. I mean, I want a quarter jet. Like I want to. I know this is crazy. I'll just put it out there.
What's
I
a
want to
quarter?
own
Wait, hold on, Ralph.
one
What's a
quarter
quarter
of a
jet?
jet, a private jet.
So you
I
want to
want to
own,
own
you're
one
like
quarter
own
of
one
it.
quarter of a jet. That's
That's what
amazing.
I
That,
want. I
all
don't.
right, man.
It's just something on my list. So
I
anyway,
want you. I want you to have that one quarter of a jet too, because I want
okay,
to go with you.
okay, good. Well, you'll
All
help me
right.
get there.
So yeah, they got to be achievable, be relevant, and like we said, uh, be have a timeline. Like at what point do we need to get to where we need to be? Right. So all right.
We got a couple people admitting. Let's say in the lobby. I'll admit them. There you go. All right. So what do we got here, Chance?
All right. So now this is so a lot of times when we think of our goals, we think of work goals. I'm guilty of this myself. It's like I don't think about some of the other goals because one thing, all these goals kind of affect each other. So we've divided our goals into 4 different quadrants. So there's a poll that has just popped up. You want to explain the poll there, Ralph?
Yeah. So like I think. Look, I want your honest feedback of when you see these quadrants, which ones you start with, and or which ones should you start with. And so I'd like to see what everybody thinks on this. It's interesting, so I'd love to see what it is. And this, look at this. I love what I'm seeing on the. It's interesting. Keep polling. We got 9 responses, but I'd love to see what the poll shows of where we should start in the quadrants because I do think there's not an exact order, but I'm curious to see how this comes out. And let's see, we got 16 responses. What's interesting is family and relationships, man. That's you're touching my heart out on the other side. I love it. I love it. See, look at that. Okay, see, that's why we do polls. You know why, Chance? Because my
Why?
guess is I would family and relationships on mine were like number 3. So that sucks. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
well, and
obviously
Kevin's right. Without your health, I mean, there's it. You could sit there and kind of argue this a little bit, but if you don't have your health, you can't do anything, right? You can't do
yeah.
anything. So yeah, you're right, Kevin. And but
Man, I'm
we
glad
always
Kevin's
kind
up
of
here.
go towards family first, and
You can't have help. Yeah, we could argue. We argued this the other day when we were putting this together.
yeah,
And there's an argument for all of it, right? But it's interesting on here is career and finance came in. Let's say we have the 26 responses right now
yeah,
as
it's
one
tied
of
for
the
second.
least. So I think that's good. Career and finance at 15%. To me, part of what Kevin says, I think it's important that we look at career and finance on the last side of it, right? A goal should
Really?
be well, goal should be goals should be balanced. I think we're seeing that we have to have goals in each quadrant. But I think if you start out with the money part, then what you end up doing is you limit your beliefs and or how you what you can put in the quadrants. Because if you said, hey, I'm going to make X dollars, well, X dollars might not allow you to get to the goals that you set, right? So I always like going to and the one that I like starting with is, of course, got the least amount of where you should start, right?
Yeah.
And but that's where I think a lot of it should start. We can take
Is
that
that
poll
the
down. But yeah, it
is that
is.
the toys and adventure?
Look at Kevin. I've had a bad back and can't enjoy my adventure toy, so it hurts my. Yeah, see, yeah. I guess I would say family and health and all that. It's interesting that family and relationships, I love that. Like, I think there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think that's pretty exciting. Well,
Right.
the part of this, so in the quadrants, let's just say wherever you chose, here's where I wouldn't start. I just wouldn't start in the finance category, the career in finance. I would start in the other categories to allow our brain to dream maybe a little bit bigger than we would if we put a cap on it. But like you said, Kevin makes a huge point is health. But let's just, for this example, let's start with toys and we'll work down. But I think it's fair to say that, start wherever you feel the goals are most important and it allow you to achieve the other things. Like Kevin said, if he doesn't have good health, then the other things are completely relevant or irrelevant. Melanie
Sure.
kind of was the same thing. She was sharing with that with us. And, without health, we're kind of helpless, right? So, all right, well, let's start toys and adventure. Let's dream a little bit. I want to, I'm going to, here's my book. And I pulled my book from 10 years ago, Chance. Actually, it's 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And actually, what year, love? Yeah, 12 years ago. And so when I talked about toys and adventures, I did, I'll tell you some of the things. I look at this and I think I've accomplished everything. And the reason why I want you to know this is sometimes they don't happen in that year,
Mhm.
but it made me focus on different things. And so but also you start to prioritize things. So I put boat. But after I did my exercise, boat became my lowest priority. I'm like, how often am I going to be on a boat? And I don't have time for a boat. But here's some of my things that I put. And they didn't happen all that year, Chance, but they happened probably
Yeah.
within 5 years. Some happened that year, some not. I put trip to Spain, trip to Paris with my kids. And we did that a couple years ago to see the Eiffel Tower. I told my little girl, Sophia, that one day I'm going to take her to see the Eiffel Tower. And so we all went and did the Eiffel Tower. I
Awesome.
wanted an outdoor entertainment space at my house. I said I wanted a cool second car. It took me like 7 years, but I got a 1972 and I restored a Bronco, a classic Bronco.
That's cool.
Trip to Vancouver, trip in a hot air balloon with my family at some cool place. And guess what? Like, because I thought about it, this is over between France and Spain in the Pyrenees mountains that we went in a hot air balloon ride. And so to me, like putting this down on paper and then dreaming big and keeping looking at it makes it happen. Tripping hot air, go ski trip, home gym. I did all those. The only one I didn't do on here was a boat, and I did said fighter plane with River, my son, and we haven't done that. He's 6'6", so I don't even know if he'd fit in a fighter plane. But anyway, that just gives you some ideas of toys and adventure.
And
But
Ralph,
I
I
want you
mean,
to
these are really good things right here,
yeah.
but I'm going to add one that
Okay.
is not on this list, and that's that one right there. That's that's my goal this year. So, and
Is
when it
what?
comes
Oh,
to
the
toys,
piano.
the grand piano, the new piano. Yeah, I've been wanting one for a long time. So, guess what? I finally got one. So we'll talk about that one here in a little bit. But
There you
that's
go.
one that I'd like to add.
Hey, before we go to spiritual physics, who has some wild thing on toys and adventure? Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to see people tell me what their toys and adventure would be, or what they're seeing. Does anybody have? Come on, Amanda. I bet you have some toy and adventure you want to do. You are like, should I do that? I know. Focus on career first. That's so true. That's what I've always done, and it was the opposite. So, I'd love to hear some of your goals. Just put it out there as far
Yeah.
as the toys and adventure, and then we can go to the other ones, like a better area, especially in our careers. I love it. I love it. Definitely want to take my son somewhere cool this year.
Cool this
Okay,
year. That's
somewhere
awesome,
cool. I
Jay.
want you to find a space, Jenny. Like, I don't want you to say take him somewhere cool. That's too general. I
It's got to
want
be
you and your
specific.
kids to get together and figure out where are we going to go, and then you're going to make that happen, and that will get you motivated every single day. Looking at golf cart. Oh, I
Yeah.
love a golf cart. Panama City, man. That
Oh, there
is.
you go.
I heard that's the Miami of the Central America. I heard it's super cool. I'd like to go there too.
Panama
All right.
City.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Long-term 30-day vacation with no worries and my business is running the same. You see, that's a great one. All right, let's go to the
I
next
love
one.
that.
So that's one side is toys and adventure. The next
Right.
you put health, right? So what are some of the things you think about when you do health, Chance?
Oh, definitely. The very first thing I think about is taking care of my physical body, working out, that kind of thing. The other thing for me is spiritual, having that spiritual time, having time in the morning to reflect. And, I like to do a quiet time. I like to have a time of prayer, and just where I'm alone and where I can reflect on these things. So those are things that really help me get through every single day.
Hey, I love what Jordan said on his toys, saving up for an African safari with their family. What a memorable trip that would be. I
It'll
mean,
be awesome.
and you know what? That's not wimpy, Jordan. I like it. It's not like you're driving. When I started Sales Solve Everything, Chance, basically it was broke. I was like, I had to go from a high-paying division manager job, making around 400 grand a year, to making basically in the first year of Sales Solve Everything, I think I made $40,000.
Yeah.
And so our trip that year was Branson, Missouri. It's a little different than the African safari, but it was still fun. That's what I have to say to that,
You
honestly.
probably still have good
We
memories from it,
we have great memories from that. Okay,
for
so
sure.
spiritual, physical. I'm going to take my thing from 12 years ago. I put sleep soundly through the night, and I didn't realize it at the time, but that was a goal. So I went and got checked, and I had sleep apnea. And so I was at the time it would take me Ambien to sleep through the night, and I felt like I was getting addicted to Ambien. I had almost had to go to cold turkey. I know this sounds crazy, and I'm not trying to say this. I hope people can resonate with it, but I went through and I went to the doctors, and after doing the test, I was or stopping breathing 26 times an hour. And so,
Wow.
yeah, so I tried the sleep apnea machine, but at the end of the day, when I went to my dentist, my orthodontist, he's saying, "Hey, you have a problem here. It's because of your teeth and your jaw and all that stuff." So I'm going to say part of my goal, it was a 4-year journey, Chance, from 2014 to 2018, where I had to get braces. I started moving my teeth to different spaces and
Yeah.
my jaw. And then I went through a jaw surgery where they broke my jaw in like 6 different places. I have so much metal in my mouth. But like that, as soon as I did that, 4 years later, I slept through the night. And at the time, my wife said she thought I was dead because she didn't hear me. And I was the constant snorer and waking up. So just
Yeah.
know that, some of those goals are like your health with Kevin is that was a health issue for me. And, I wasn't getting all the air to my brain, and now I am. So it's pretty awesome. So think about that. But that's on
And
that's
some
on
of
my
these,
list.
and some of the health things also, Ralph, they cross over, with toys.
They do.
I go back to my little piano. I mean, to me, it's like playing the piano is one of the most relaxing things that I do every single day, and it just I can kind of escape a little bit and do something, use the other side of my brain for a while. So that's some of these things definitely cross over for
Yeah.
sure. So,
What do
all
you
right,
guys
let's.
have spiritually or physically? One of the people on here is Amanda. Oh, she puts, um, look at learning to play my wedding song on the piano. Wow,
The
that's
anniversary and
awesome.
octa. Oh, that's awesome. I love
But
that.
okay, so here's what's interesting. And the reason why I bring her up and she had commented is I don't know how much weight you've lost or how much you've gotten to shape, and it's not about that. But Amanda on here has, I mean, I think she's lost a substantial amount of weight and she seems more healthy. And okay, she said 50 pounds. Okay. All right. So that's good. I didn't want to say anything, but I mean, she's so healthy, so much energy on her. Look at
Wow.
that. I love it. Right. 50 pounds. But, that took her, we'll talk about accountability and she can tell you that later, but man, she had to work at it and she still does. Everybody does. So
For
anyway,
sure.
uh, reading, meditation, counseling, health is important. Family relationships. Look at that, 30 minutes of gaining skills versus scrolling. Oh, I agree with that, man. We're all traps of the
Awesome.
phone, aren't we?
Yep.
Family relationship. I'd love to hear some family relationship goals. Can people on the chat send a couple for us to have some ideas?
Hey,
Um,
I've got one for me. I mean,
what is yours?
Christy and I kind of got away from our date night, and it's like we used to have a weekly date night, and I'm like, hey, we got to get back to that. And we were talking about it the other day. So that's one of our goals this year is every week, one night, let's go out, and it's just you and
Yeah,
I.
I
So,
think that's a huge deal, right? Is to have a date night, or it keeps the relationship intact. But and it might be a friend night, right? That you're going to see a friend. If you're not having date night and you're single, you might, say, hey, one night a week, I'm going to go visit a friend and we're going to spend some quality time, right? Oh, I
yeah.
like that. So, any other things? Okay, find a husband. Nia.
Nia, yes.
Man, I don't know how you don't I don't know how you don't have a husband, Nia. You're a catch, man.
Yeah,
Whoever's on here, if you know somebody who needs a good quality, beautiful soul, beautiful person, Nia's
absolutely.
it. So
For sure. Yeah.
we have to definitely find her somebody. Okay.
Yep.
We're taking applications, Nia. Just put your
All
requirements
right.
on the screen, and
Yes.
the team on here will
We'll work hard for you, Nia.
we'll work hard. We'll
All right.
search the social media. So
All right.
I love
I
it.
love it. That's so funny.
All right, let's go to the
Awesome.
next one.
Okay, there it is. Career and
Okay.
finance.
Okay, so this is where I used to start all the time, but I'll tell you when the quadrants came, part of it was a guy named Mike Mintz. He would do this with us every year, and and the monetary was always last, and it was because we kind of looked at everything else. We kind of evaluated everything, and relationships solve everything. Yeah. Um, they do, man. It's so funny. We put career and finance as first for a lot of us because that's what we're kind of born, or that's how we think. But I
Right.
like that the poll showed different, that it's a different mentality than necessarily I always think in career and financial. But we should have those, and they should be based around different things. Like, and I think they have to be specific, whether it's a certain amount of homes, if it's a certain dollar amount that you want to achieve. But when we look at all these career and financial group, maybe it's a promotion to a different role, or doing something in your career, like getting more educated or taking different classes to get better at what you do. But career and financial usually is just part of the equation. We have to have dreams and things to look forward to in order for us to make those goals. So that's kind of the it kind of goes to the next slide, probably in the why part, why we do what we do. But career and financial is there. Michelle
Well,
Gouch.
I
Oh
was
my
gonna,
God, Michelle's on here. I miss you, Michelle. Good to see you.
yeah.
Good to see
Well,
you.
and the other thing is that we kind of find that we work backwards, like we've got to start with the other things because the career in finance a lot of times is the thing that provides all those, whether it's
Yeah.
date nights with your wife or being able to buy toys or, so you kind of have to determine what are your goals in those other places, right? And then you
Yep.
come in and go, okay, now where do I need to perform? What do I need to be able to do to get to these other things? Is that the way you're thinking, Ralph?
Well, yeah, because like Jordan said, the trip to Africa, that's no cheap trip, right? So that might not happen this year. He's saying I'm saving up for this year or next year, whatever it is. Well,
Right.
then you might need to save $1,000 a month more, or whatever that number is to get you where you want, or 500. So then you got to have discipline, you got to have accountability, but then you have to have results. So when you get up in the morning and you look at that, trip to Africa, the visualizer or something that reminds you of that, it's going to make you make those extra calls, make those extra appointments, if that's a strong enough thing that you're really wanting to do with your family. So yeah, it all kind of ties back there, and it ties back into the family and relationships. Like, these all have different weight. So to me, it's like when you have your health, maybe you're not going to make as much money as you can because you're spending more time on your health. But then when you get healthy, you're actually more effective at work and you make more money in a different way, right? So, these are all intertwined. I bet you Kevin would we're gonna have to have Kevin as a guest on here because he's so good about that kind of thing, is keeping health and your body right so we can achieve more, basically. And I definitely
Right.
saw an upkeep when I lost weight and was in better shape, or when I exercise and work out. I have higher energy levels. I sleep better. My brain works better. All those things work better. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I mean, so far, if you kind of go back, I mean, we've kind of laid out, what are our goals? What are the rules for setting goals? We've broke them into categories, and now we're asking, are these the right goals? And we do that by just saying, hey, is your why strong enough? Number one, what is your why for these goals, and is it strong enough? If you don't have a strong why, then you don't have a worthy goal. So you've got to make sure that fits in as well. So.
Well,
Um,
when we talk about that, chance, it's like when we brainstormed in those categories. So we should all
yeah,
be brainstorming. That's when I say your mind should be open. You shouldn't limit yourself based on your finances. Like you got to think big at the beginning. But at the same time, when I put boat or something that I didn't actually achieve, my why just wasn't strong enough for me to go towards that. But it doesn't mean you can't think of that or it gets your brain going. There's just some things that are not strong enough. They're not a big enough priority. So
right.
so I know one of your whys. Let's see what that is. You brought it up earlier.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
my
so
well,
what is that, Chance?
that's a Baldwin SD10 concert grand piano. I mean, it's the piano. It's my bucket list piano that I've wanted. I mean, I've played for since I was 4 years old. And I've learned a lot of songs on my little upright piano,
I was gonna
but
say, don't you
this
have a piano? Like
I do. Yeah.
why
Why is why is it not? It's not this piano. This is a special piano. I mean, this is the piano that some of my favorite artists play, like Bruce Hornsby and Dave Brubeck and Earl Wild and Michael Feinstein. I mean, some of these guys this is the piano that they play. And I
Elton
mean, it's
John
just
played on that piano, didn't he?
who?
Elton John played a
Elton John, yeah, Elton John plays on, on a Baldwin SD10. I mean, it was the kind of go-to for some of the big artists back in the day, and there's nothing to me that sounds as great as a concert grand. I mean, it's just the strings are 8 feet long. I mean, it's just on the lower end, so it just sounds amazing. And
so
look,
do you
if I'm
want
gonna
it
be
just is it ego? What is it so to me there's a piano, right? It's not my goal, so I don't
right,
have the same strength, but there's an
right,
emotional attachment. When you were talking about that piano, Chance,
yes, I lit up.
well, you lit up. Your speed of your speech was bigger, your smile was bigger. There was I think everybody saw it on here, is you got excited about it, and it means a lot to you to own one of these at some point in time. And it's amazing. You already bought it. So where are you in the process on this? You bought the piano and now you're
I bought
having
the
it
piano.
restored.
I'm
Yeah.
having it restored. Yes, yep.
And so it'll be
And it's
done
supposed to
when?
be, it's going to be done around my birthday in May. So I'm
Awesome.
really excited about it showing up.
But you know what? Here's what I
But you know
know.
what? And there's probably, I know there's a lot of things that I will fully enjoy playing this. But there's probably a little bit of prestige in there too. Like I really have always wanted a grand piano, you know?
Well, a
And so
concert
there's
grand,
probably,
right?
yeah, not just a grand. It's gotta be a concert grand. So anyway, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
All
But
right. Well, so part of that to
so
me is what I want everyone to hear is you have to have a vision. So when you're looking at these goals and you're looking at like the quadrants, you're going to start narrowing it down. But this one I could tell was a strong one. And if you have a vision, like this is a 1968, I think what it was, a certain model, and he's getting it shiny lacquered. He's having it redone. The inside's going to be all this cedar wood or wood, like everything's going to be redone to how
yeah,
he likes it. And so that means a lot. So his vision is already strong. We know that he can see it. So part of goals is actually seeing yourself able to do that or achieve it,
yeah,
accomplish it. And then the next part is actually executing on it, taking action on your goal. You made the first step, and now you're going to get it redone. And in 4 or 5 months, you'll be able to play that in your house. And how incredible! But that's your why. The why is whether it's ego, whether it's how you
yeah,
feel when you're playing it, whether it's, when you're playing it, I know that's what's going to do. So to me, it's like a feeling that you're getting, right?
mhm.
So
Yeah, for sure.
awesome.
And that's what I'm saying. That why is what keeps you motivated. So
I
it's got
would
to be a
love a
strong
couple
one.
people. Here's what I'd love. I know a couple people have some goals out there. I would love somebody to put their goal out there and tell me why, what is their why? What is it strong enough for you to achieve it? Like be bold, put it on the board. I like it, man. Be a better leader. Yeah, man,
Yep.
but it's excellent. Well, the next step is creating an action plan, right?
Yep, for sure. And we've got some steps to that, you know. Number one, you've got to break it down into smaller steps. I mean, how do you eat the elephant, right? One bite at a time. So it's just, you've got to make sure that you can have a timeline and break it down into steps that are achievable and that where you can see success, because that's how you stay motivated is by continually seeing that success towards your goal.
Getting closer to the target, yeah. And Melanie would add, and you said eat an elephant one bite at a time. She would say add ketchup, right? But
Yeah, I'd
it's
catch up.
true, is small little steps that we have to take towards the goal that we can see we're making progress. And then on these goals and these quadrants, you're going to set some priorities, some that are more important than others. I know we're going to brainstorm a lot, but there's some are more important than others, and you're going to elevate those and assign a time. So, it's like that meaningful, specific, or wandering generality mentality is you have to put timelines in when you want to accomplish that so that you're on track or off. There's basically there's also some pressure that goes along with you achieving those, and you would call it like I think we called it eustress, and that's a positive stress. There has to be some motivators that put a little pressure on it for you to do what you're going to do, to wake up in the morning and do the extra phone calls, the extra activities, the extra prospecting, the extra whatever in the family. Maybe it's the extra prayer, the extra meditation, the extra exercise. You're going to have to do those extra things, but you have to put timelines, and then you have to reverse engineer how you get there, right? So if you
Yeah.
wanted to lose a certain amount of weight, there's a formula for that. It's probably caloric, it's probably exercise, it's diet, there's a lot of different things. So I like April's. Try and get my first sales and assistant.
I
See if
know.
something I can do since switching jobs. You can do it, April. There is
You
no
can,
doubt about it.
yeah,
So I'll just
you'll
do a
kill it.
study and take notes. There's a lot of good people on here, but we'll help you in any way we can. I love it, April. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so let's go to the next one here. So then you got to build in your accountability. And I know Ralph was talking about this a little bit earlier, but how do you do that? You track your progress. Where are you moving in the direction that you want to that you want to go? The other thing you do is you get others involved. You tell other people, what are your goals are, loved ones, people around you, and you've got to tell the right people
Okay, that's what I was
because
gonna say. Yeah.
yeah, you've got to tell the right people because not everybody loves your goals. And so you've got to be able to tell the people that you can trust that will encourage you what your goals are and that they'll hold you accountable for those. I have people in my life that hold me accountable for certain places and so you've got to be able to do that. And then of course, if you're not seeing the progress that you need to see, then you need to make adjustments. You kind of need to reevaluate what's the course that I need to take. Do I need to adjust my smaller goals to be able to accomplish those quicker or move in a different direction?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to make adjustments, and sometimes if we fall behind, then we give up the goal. And what I would say is like recheck what that is, and then work back and reverse engineer again and make those adjustments. And I'll just give it like in our example, like if you were only doing 4 or 5 appointments a week and only a couple people showed, you have to want to improve it. Well, how do you do that? You have to output on your prospecting, you have to output on your calls, you have to output on your realtor office visits, you have to output. So if we don't increase or adjust our activities and our effort, we're going to get the same result. It's like I heard a great sales manager. I can't remember who it was, but I think I can't remember. It was a girl, a woman, and she told me, hey, it was up in Idaho, I think. And she was basically saying, hey, you know, uh, people were saying last year, like, well, I'm doing the same thing I was doing the year before, and I'm not getting the same result. Well, then you got to do something different than the year before, because the year before maybe it was easier to get. Maybe you only had to
Mm,
see less people. Well, now you got to change your effort and your output in order to get the results you want. And I think, this is going to be those years where we have to put more output to get more result. So make
absolutely.
adjustments.
Yeah, for sure. And then celebrate. Like when you
Yeah.
get to these milestones, when you get to the small little goals that lead to the big goal, acknowledge them and celebrate them and reward yourself in some way. I mean, what is that like if you're on a weight loss plan, I've always read Like, hey, find that one day where you have a little bit of something extra, reward yourself for doing really well the entire week, you know?
Yeah, I was I can't remember who this it was funny. There's a perfect example as oh no, it was Stephen and Leanna McCoy. We were talking goals, and they had a ritual that when, and it was funny because what they did was they started to go, hey, if we get a sale, we're going to celebrate and go out to dinner, right? So, but that changed when they figured out they don't get paid until it closes. So they said, when we have a closing, we'll go out and have dinner, right? But there was a celebration of success, right? And I would always, I thought that was very insightful. Is you sometimes you have to adjust those celebrations, but you got to celebrate. And I think most people on here are high achievers, and most high achievers, they're looking forward and they don't take the time to actually enjoy a little bit of a moment. And I think that should be part of who we are, because that keeps us
Mm,
motivated. It actually sends triggers to our brain saying, hey, you're going in the right direction, right? And oh, look at that. Jacoby encouraged me to
all right.
celebrate every
Yeah.
morning. Yeah.
I love it,
Yeah.
Jacoby,
See, we all like steak dinners, don't we? I love it.
for sure.
But yeah, acknowledge the small wins, reward yourself, give yourself a high five, and then keep going. Don't let that slow you down. Let those that momentum build from your celebrations, and you'll keep going on the positive path. It's to me, it's like that merry-go-round where I know it's dating myself, but that middle merry-go-round that was so hard to move, but once you get it going, it's easier. So just keep it going.
For
So.
sure. So absolutely. So do we have any questions or comments right now? Or I think we could probably open it up for that right now, Ralph. If
Yeah,
some
I love.
even if we've got some folks that say, hey, this is my goal, this is what I want to accomplish this year, or I'm going to focus on this particular area.
Well, who's had good success at setting a goal and achieving it? I'd love to hear what it was, or maybe some of the steps. And I don't know if you can open it up, Daisy, to let the viewers see our faces if we want to see our faces, or let them talk. But I would love that, because we all need to work with people. The other thing is on goals and all that. You talk about the right people, Chance. I would say you all have to surround yourself with people that also are goal oriented, that want to achieve things, that have a positive mindset. Because if you don't surround yourself with those people, you become the average of the 5 or 6 that you hang around most. And if most are naysayers, those are probably people that are going to stop you from really achieving your goals. So
Yeah.
anyway, what's the next slide, Chance?
I think that I don't know. I think
Is it our snow
we
cam? Is it still
we
snowing
might
out
have to
there?
go back out and look at the snow cam and see how things are going there. Let's take a look real quick. Oh wow, it's really getting thick out there, Ralph. It's pretty.
you're 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 fun.
It
You're
kind of looks
funny,
like
man.
the Alps right here in Dallas, Texas, right now. So no, I'm kidding. There you go. It's
Well,
getting
hey,
a little bit further along. So anyway,
yeah,
yeah, and I think it's even accumulated some more out there. But
probably has. Well,
yeah,
hey, here's what I want to say is, hey, thank you guys for attending. 2025 is going to be great. We do have three schools, three sales academies this year. One's in January, I think one's in May, and one's in like September. Look at Amanda lost weight. I knew it was the right time, so I built a plan, weight loss center, and followed it. Yeah, it's accountability. And you know what? I'm proud of those that take the steps. It's so hard.
it
They
is.
they say the second Friday, which is tomorrow of the new year, is Quitters Day. And that's those that set goals that started working out and everything on January 1st, and they last 2 weeks. It's actually official National Quitters Day. And so like we can't we
Wow, we
can't
can't be
we
quitters.
we can't be quitters, man. And so we have an academy coming up a couple weeks from now, January 21st to 23rd. If you know somebody who wants to attend, we don't have a lot of spots left. I think we have 38 people or 40 people signed up, and we have to cap it at 50 based on our space. But if you know somebody that wants to go, or if you need a refresher, if you want to get pumped up, we have a 3-day foundation academy in a couple weeks, and then we have some pro schools coming up this year, and we're gonna try to give you guys a webinar once every month or two, just to keep in touch and help you in any way we can. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful year. I'd love to, if you need me to be one of your accountability partners, I would not
sure.
mind that at all. I'd love to help keep you on track to make your goals in 2025 great, and I'll try to help you get there in any way I can. So,
All right, Leo, we'll see you there. We're looking
all
forward to
right,
you being there too. All
thank
right, y'all
you.
take care. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
All right, see you guys.